Hi, everybody. Hello and welcome to the ABOO, A Book of One's Own group. Welcome to our lunchtime leadership session. And today it's a really exciting moment. This is actually the session we have had the most excitement about. And because we have today with us Melanie Gow. Mel, I have known for a long time and worked with, and she is amazing. And we have, she is known as the legend maker. Actually, she is a legend herself. And her talk is called Your Most Powerful Life is Created from the Future. I think that concept has really grabbed everybody, and it is amazing. So Mel, welcome. It is wonderful to have you here. It's very exciting. I am very excited to hear your talk. It feels like we're going to be doing some time traveling. And I know you have got some slides to share. So you're in Spain at the moment, I should say. I'm in the UK. So there's only a little bit of time travel between that. But anyway, welcome to the group, and please share your screen, your slides whenever you're ready.
Lovely. And to be fair, I am already in the future then. I'm at least an hour ahead of you.
You are indeed.
Here we go, time traveling already. Hello, everyone. So I started out in the world of movies. So one of the concepts I work with is story. So before I begin, I wanted to ask you a couple of questions. Like, what if I told you that I had earned 15,000 for a 1-paragraph story? Well, I'd expect to have your attention by now. But what if I told you that the shortest story that I've ever told was 3 words long, and it saved my life? Would you start to question your idea of what story is? I'm hoping so. So what if I told you that we are telling stories all the time? The only difference is whether they're created from the past or created from the future. Now I'm hoping you'll want to know more. And I'm telling you that the most powerful story is created from the future. So I'm hoping you'll stick around to hear how. And let me tell you my story. Now, I did come from the movies, so yes, I do like to share images, and I have so much going on in every screen, and there's metaphors and analogies and things like that. So, but let me tell you a story of how I know this. There was once an ordinary woman with 2 sons. Oh, okay, it was me. This is us outside our front door that we used to live in. And my father died, my marriage collapsed, and I lost my second book deal with a big publisher, all within 6 months. And I had to walk out of that with a bigger story to tell. So that's exactly what we did. Only it was across Spain for 33 days and 800 kilometers. And my sons were only 16 and 12 at the time. Within 3 weeks of coming back, I was asked to give a talk in the Age Concern Cafe at the back of my town hall. And then that became a national inspirational speaking tour, a crowdfunded book. I got media coverage, and I was invited to speak on the TED stage, that coveted red circle. I have since spoken on multiple stages, from national ones to little tiny ones to thousands of people on 2 continents. And the one thing I noticed in all those rooms was, I can only call it a yearning for something that felt unmet. And it all came to focus for me when I was invited to this tiny little village hall that you can see, and it was built by the grandfather of the woman who invited me. It was a Tuesday afternoon. The whole village turned out. it was a great event. The atmosphere was blistering. I sold lots of books and it was wonderful. And as I left, there was a woman waiting outside the door in a wheelchair. And she asked if she could walk me to my car. I needed to get on the motorway to get home. So that's what we did. And I asked her story. And she told me that she had tried to commit suicide twice. So I leaned in and I said to her, so you know that this life is not for sissies? She went, yes. So, well, how can I help? And she said, I want what you've got. And I literally had no idea what that meant. And it took me a while to figure it out. But I heard her story. She had built her kitchen from her wheelchair. She wrote poetry. She loved going out into the countryside and reciting it out loud. And for her, the real question she was asking was, how is it that a single mom has got singled out to speak on the stage, and when she comes to my village, the whole village turns out and nobody knows me? And that's when I realized that we all just want to matter. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Melanie Gow. This is my Tinder profile. I took one of those courses, how to look 10 years younger, and apparently no one can resist a smile. I don't have a Tinder profile. In some worlds, I'm known as a story strategist, but in my world, I believe I make legends. And the thing is, I kind of have been involved in hundreds of them. People bringing their purpose to life in the world that I get to work with and coach. And I have worked online, offline, around the world is not too big a claim to make. But most interestingly, I've helped several people put their own talk on the TED stage. So people started coming to me and asking me if I could help them with their TED. Well, here's the number one truth. People want a TED, but hardly anybody has an idea worth sharing. Now, hear me out. There is a point that I'm like, why is it so easy for me? But I realized that back in the Hollywood days, which is where I honed my storytelling skills on that hard face of Hollywood during the Weinstein era, so, you know, tough crowd. Nobody, the world's biggest story industry is not actually focused on stories. It's focused on ideas. We were all creating ideas, selling ideas, consuming ideas, and there was not only a lot of money in them, but the actual focus of producers and directors and the money was hyper-focused on that one thing, ideas. And then they would write a story around that. And that got me thinking about people, us, you, me, because it is my lived experience that stories inspire, but our ideas influence. Now, why would this be useful? Well, your ideas are the heartbeat of your business. They form your value proposition and they set you apart and let you influence others, buyers. Ideas make you sought after. Total truth. Ideas help you to step into life with more intention. They make you believe in yourself. They build meta skills, big words, and that helps you achieve more ambitious goals, which basically unleashes your full potential. Sounds trite, it is. And the other point is the robots are coming for us. So, you know, we're going to need to step ahead of them. And for me, ideas exist in the future, and we bring them in to the present. So that's why your most powerful life is created from the future. And this is what I want you to know. By the time I finish talking, You will know why the story you tell about yourself is incomplete, the power of an idea to overcome what's holding you back from achieving the results you want, and what a catalytic idea is, and how to tune into the world that matters to you. So I'm going to also leave you with some fun exercises. I'm not going to do them on the call, but I'm going to set you them as homework. But I'm just going to stop sharing for a second here because I just want to discuss this idea of two. There are essentially two mornings. The first one goes like this. Every day I open two gifts, my eyes. I'm creating my own sunshine. I'm stretching, warrior pose. Bring me that mountain because this woman's got steel cleats, and devil, you may tremble because trouble just got up. And the second one is, you have got to be kidding me. Did I sleep through my alarm? It can't be time to wake up. Can I have chocolate for breakfast? And that's when they get a whiff of your self-defeat, the mind goblins. And for them, this is not a drill. They come scampering over and they lean in and they say, you're worthless. In fact, you've always been worthless. Okay, so for anybody who doesn't know what a mind goblin is, it's this flatulent creature who lives in the back of your head. And they've made a nest of your failed sweat equity failures and your forgotten dreams. And they've got the one really important one, and they've nestled down in there and they've made that its bed. All right. And for them, this is a never-ending game. They have so much to offer. You can have procrastination. Yes, that'll keep you stuck. And you can have comparisonitis, the thief of joy. And you can have my mother's favorite one, catastrophizing. Anyone doesn't know what that is? That's when you're 5 minutes late and your mother has got you in a car accident. You've been helicoptered to emergency. The surgeon has ripped off the latex gloves, thrown them on the floor, announced you're dead. She's buried you. She's moved on before you turn up. I can't tell you how many times my mother has been disappointed I'm still alive. And that's when they never run out of ideas. If they ever do, they let you have overwhelm. You can have overwhelm, and you can have overwhelm, and everyone can have overwhelm. They are a formidable foe. So I'm back to sharing my screen because we all have these mind goblins. And the thing is, that's a very powerful story. And that's going on inside our head. And this is the pain that I see in the world. People are telling too small a story. It's the story of shrinking to fit, of jostling for position, of the known solution. It's the story of what I call paddling in the shallows. And we are not even living our biggest story because we are living the story of being afraid, of being poor, of being sick, irrelevant, or unchosen. Pick me. We're holding on to secret stories of doubt. Perhaps we won't measure up. Maybe we're not as smart as we think we are. We're not worthy. We're not good enough. Tiresome. But how many of us have had that one running around? Maybe, just maybe, we're not meant for more. Come on, we are. So, meet the mind goblins. They are telling a story in your head based on your past experience. Now, the best evidence from archaeology and anthropology suggests that the human mind co-evolves with storytelling. Quite important to understand that. I found this great quote: story was crucial to our evolution, more so than opposable thumbs. Opposable thumbs let us hang on. Story told us what to hang on to. Lisa Cron, wired for story. Okay, so our minds rely on mental shortcuts, ones that psychologists call heuristics. And a mind works out hard to identify patterns, and that's what it turns into stories. Then it makes assumptions based on them, which means we are living a story from the past. Now, being a storyteller, in the movies, it's always a subplot. If you look at the yellow words, there's your subplot. Heuristic stories make assumptions from the past. When we rely very heavily on story, we're holding on to stories about ourselves. We're actually arguing for the person we are. Then we dig deep into that story, so it feels really hard to change. And we abandon our futures, the ones we can't see ourselves having it. So from our past, we are abandoning our future. And that is why the story you tell about yourself is incomplete. And now I am about to blow your mind. Story is not the only thing that we co-evolve with. It is the one we're most conscious about. We actually know about the others. And that's the basis for what I'm sharing today. Boom, there are in fact 6 of them. These are the energies that we co-evolve with. I have them in a Borromean ring because it's in Viking times. If any one of these came apart, then everything fell apart. But we know about story. And I'm here today to argue that any time we get stuck in our past story, if we just reach for the future, just one turn round to ideas, we can break free. Because the problem with story is that it requires a mastery of mindset, and mindset needs working on most of the time, and we often lose back on it. And who can get that time back? Not me. Also, which mindset tool? Limiting beliefs, again, CBT, NLP, CBD. So without the mastery of mindset, people get stuck in story. Now, I know that that is a lived experience. If it's not just for yourself, you know it in other people. It doesn't have to be this way, because an idea has the power to overcome what is holding you back. Because of one simple little principle. We cannot be in protection and growth at the same time. Not even on a cellular level. Here's the science. I learned this first with Bruce Lipton through the biology of belief, which I was involved with when I had my first book published. Growth and protection are mutually exclusive. He explains it like this. If there is a stimulus that offers growth, we go towards it. Our arms are open to embrace it. But we have a biological imperative for protection, which moves us away, and we shut down to preserve ourselves. So we do know this. But when we swap out that story that you are hanging on to for an idea, we move into growth. That's it. We are becoming. The fascinating thing is, the mind cannot concentrate on the mind goblins and an idea at the same time. So if you're focusing on the idea, you are focusing on the future, because that's where the idea exists, and you're going to bring it into reality. And I know that it's a bit of a dance with these guys, but you cannot think about them and your old story if you're focusing on an idea. Simples. Here's the real world example. Think about it. Anytime you're in a bit of a funk and somebody says, I have an idea. Let's go for coffee. Why don't we book that holiday we've been promising ourselves? Should we look at what car to buy? Anything that comes after I have an idea shifts you into the state. I have an idea, shifts you in the state. So literally, you can feel the power of an idea in your real life. Now, you can take a screenshot of this. I am not precious about these sort of things, but I'm not going to go into it. But there is a model basically, this is how you have experiences that inform what you do, shape who you are and what you see possible from the past, going to the future, have a vision, move into action, find that idea and commit. And that rewires your mind and drives change. All of you are familiar with the competency ladder. I'm absolutely certain of it. Unconscious incompetence, all the way up to unconscious competence. With ideas, you don't know the outcome. So you have to put yourself through growth. Whenever anybody says, it's like, I don't know how this is going to work out. I'm like, that means you've got an idea. I prefer to see it this way. These are the 4 levels of consciousness. I think that's pretty much what they've become known as. I have protection on the bottom, growth on the top. And I think we know this. There's a lot of time in our life where we think things are happening to us. And then we get a little smarter and we realize things are happening for us. But as soon as you put an idea in there, it's as if life is happening through you. And then the nirvana state of as you. So that's how I like to feel about story. I hope that I have now convinced you of the power of an idea to overcome what's holding you back from achieving the results that you want. Okay. Oh, here come my bragging rights. It's not my first rodeo. I opened the door on this to what I'm teaching in my first book, which was published in 2008. But it's actually the result of finding myself on that TED stage without an answer. Imagine that. So I have developed this from the hero's journey, the biology of belief, fields of epigenetics and neuroscience, yes to meta skills and business coaching, and a model in the book by neurologist Dr. James Austin, which I'm going to reveal to you now. We have a matrix. We have a quadrant. It's always great when there's like, oh, it's been charted out. So here we have protection on the bottom, growth on the top. This makes it so simple. It's a bit like some of you have ever seen the flow chart. It's like, oh, complex idea, not really. Protection on the bottom, growth on the top, fear, curiosity. Literally turning fear into curiosity is a life hack. Down in that bottom quadrant is where fear and protection are. And all the mind goblins want to just keep you safe. When you start moving out of that protection with curiosity, you start coming across ideas just by being in the path of synchronicity. You increase your surface area and you bump into things and you start having ideas. And then you move up to that top left quadrant where you start becoming very vigilant because you've got some proof now of what ideas can do. And that's when you start seeing solutions and people think, wow, they were at the right place at the right time. And then when you are in full growth and curiosity, you start to synthesize ideas from all your experiences. It feels magical, but it's really just your brain on high octane. So let's do just a tiny little how. How about we do a tiny little how? The mind works best in the presence of a question. So on a personal level, this is about turning a statement into a question. I've put a nice example up. The statement is, a nuclear explosion would be a disaster. As soon as you turn that into a question, would a nuclear explosion really be a disaster? I bet you can feel your own mind starting to fuzz with answers, telling me why it would be. But can you just see the response? The difference to a statement is passive, and the question is so it's because questions ask us to see things differently. They harness a phenomenon called the Zeigarnik effect based on a Russian psychologist's work. They open up a loop that makes us want to know more. So a question is the chat up line for curiosity. By the way, I got this image on AI. It's a cat in a bar with the chat up lines. Just one simple thing. Curiosity is the permission to change people's minds. So why is that useful? Who does it work for? Works for you. It works for clients and it works for your business. So the simplest way to see this is to do this on a personal level first. We use what I call an empowering question. So there are different types of questions, but an empowering question is kind of open-ended. Easiest way to demonstrate that is with affirmations. You know, those things where we're like, I am a confident and effective public speaker. I choose peace. I am rich. By the way, those are some of the top 3. There's like in the top 10 of people's affirmations. So there's statements. Now, the thing about that with the brain is it knows you're lying. It's like, well, you're not that effective. You bombed at that last stage. And then it's like, well, you didn't choose peace when you were having that conversation with your mother the other day. And when I'm rich, like you have that 18 grand debt, you're not rich. So it tends to set us up for an argument internally until you change it to an empowering question. So you turn, I am a confident and effective public speaker into, I wonder why I'm getting more confident and effective as a public speaker. Now the mind is like, oh, I've got a task to do. I've got to figure out why. Oh, is it because she's watching more TED Talks? Is it because when she's on social media, she's looking at it strategically instead of just numbing to it? And she's watching other people's TikToks and seeing how they do it so they can do it. She can do it better. Do you see how that works? I choose peace. I wonder in what ways and when I choose peace allows you to spot in your day when you did succeed in choosing peace. You didn't fall out with the person who pushed in front of you in the supermarket and so on. I wonder how many ways I am rich allows you to go with family, with time, and then, by the way, along comes the money. Here's the big secret, the width of an empowering question awakens the legend within. So let me show you how it works on your clients. Okay, so we have to accept that they can't learn what they think they already know, right? That when you can get your client or student to question what they currently know or believe, they become curious, and that is the permission to give them a new idea, your idea. And ideas influence the world. Here's the classic. You've seen this out there in advertising and marketing world. You just didn't know what they were doing. What if your lip balm is actually causing your lips to chafe? What? But it can't be. And this is one of my favorites from lots of you know Anne Whitehouse, and she's in the ABOO group and she's given a leadership talk. And when she came up with this, it was such genius that I keep sharing as an example because it's perfect. Anne is a master healer to mission-led women, re-engineering women's relationships with men, money, and visibility, men, power, and visibility. And this is what she has. What if that feeling of not being good enough is actually proof of your success? So, I want you to look at, not now, but I want you to look at statements that you make in your business or life and turn them into questions. And if you don't know how to turn them into a question, what if is a very, very, very useful tool. So use the what ifs, turn statements into questions and see how it shifts the power. So, I'm just going to move on from there. This is for business. Let's try this for your business. Okay. What you're looking for in business is the value proposition. What makes you different? I call it the catalytic idea, the one that basically changes everything else. And that's how you spot what a catalyst idea is. It initiates change. You can have a catalyst idea yourself. But in a business, a catalyst idea translates into assets, or 7, usually. You can take a screenshot. I'm not going to go through it, but here's 7 assets you can create from a catalytic idea. Okay. So when you're faced with that, what story should I tell in business or online or on your about page, where this is what people used to come to me with. They would say, I have too many stories. I don't know what story works. I don't believe my story is worth telling. I don't have a story. Side note, we all do. It becomes really, really simple when you have a catalytic idea, because mind goblins cannot survive contact with ideas. When you waken the legend within that idea, that is the story that you tell. You become that story. That becomes your story. So it becomes really super. This is all you have to do to bring the horizon to you, is to identify a catalytic idea, one that initiates change, and then tell that story. And this is how we're now using ideas to create a better story in our personal lives, which means a better life with our clients or students, and in our business. So this is when I would say harness the power of ideas. It rewires your mind, it drives change, and it's how you can influence the world, but also find more joy, peace, truth, and love. And don't forget, that's only one way to use this framework of the energies that we co-evolve with. So now we're going to do ideas, because there is a mistake we all make with ideas. Your first idea is never your idea. Your first idea is always someone else's. Harsh, but true, because it's always what you've already heard or read or been sold about the subject, always. So you have to think for yourself beyond conventional wisdom, marketing, or platitudes to find your catalyst idea. I'm here to tell you there are meta skills that go with all of this that help you to find it, go forward with it, do things. But I'm going to talk about the three main ones that help you find an idea. I have given them lovely names called Dive into Solitude, Drain the Shallows, Dance with the Narrative. This will magnetize ideas to you. The first thing is you have to have time with your ideas. It rarely gets prioritized. Thinking for ourselves doesn't feel as urgent as the inbox. And if I point this out to you, you will see where you can do it and actually just how much we eat up our time. If you go into any coffee shop, in the line for the coffees will be people and they will be on their phone. Guilty as charged. But if we're constantly consuming, even if it's good quality content, we're not allowing even micro moments for our own thoughts and emotions to come up. We can't process what we're experiencing. So if there's one thing you have to do in order to get that idea that is going to help you to live a more powerful life, find micro moments. If nothing else, give yourself those, right? The other one, yeah, I could go on about this one for ages. So very simple, dancing with the narrative. When you understand that everything is nothing but a story, life shifts. You even can pick your own out of the thoughts in your own head. So that's kind of like, I should have put that as a question. What if everything is nothing but a story? And the last one is drain the shallows. Now, I kind of picked this one up on the internet because I was paying attention. Choose what you fight for wisely. Now, I did this, and I want you, whilst I'm speaking, I want you to just check in. Which one do you do? I started succeeding when I started leaving small fights for small fighters. I chose not to fight the gossip about me. I chose not to fight to meet people's expectations of me. I chose not to please everyone. That one was actually a personal battle. Or fight to be included. Pick me. I choose not to feed the attention, carry a chip on my shoulder, or bear a grudge. And I started fighting for my vision, my ideas, and my potential. So it's obviously emotional intelligence. It's obviously self-regulation. There's a bigger subject here. But for me, this is the Occam's razor, or the key that will unlock the door. Pick your fights wisely. So what small fight are you going to give up so that you can fight for your bigger life? Recap. Ask empowering questions daily. Assign time to dive into solitude, those micro moments, dance with the narrative, change the story, change your life. Change the story, change. Change the story through ideas, it changes. And then drain the shallows. Choose what you fight for wisely. And just as a little aside, join the club of done. You know, we all know that moving on into action helps. This is how I got all this done. And I'm just working, I wanted to give you a case study. I'm working with Kim Curtis. She's a wealth management advisor in America. She handles literally millions of dollars. And she came to me and we collaborated on one idea. Money is looking for you. That was about 6 months ago. We have got a book, or she has a book. She's been invited and given a commencement speech. She has a proprietary process. She has icons and models, and she has an online course coming in, and she has a masterclass she's creating, and she has come up with an immersion concept that she's going to launch in India and bring home to Denver, and with a wealth festival, and there's a film in the pipeline. One idea. And she is moving into well, for her, it's retirement, and she's just not done. So I asked her permission to share this. So from her one catalyst idea, we could create her assets and build out a route to market. There's the mind map on the side, but it includes amplification for 3 avatars so that all her offers seamlessly connect, and she can do if-then choices. And that's all from the idea, because she could then build out from the future. So that's my argument. A catalyst idea demands change in you, and yet it joins dots. It illuminates a new pathway because you have fresh perspective, and then it empowers you to overcome obstacles, and it brings you that horizon. For anybody who doesn't know, that's Jack Sparrow, and that's my favorite line in Pirates of the Caribbean, where he says, "Bring me that horizon." So just to remind you, stories inspire, but people can do with inspiration exactly what they want, including nothing. You know that, you like on Facebook, oh, that was such an inspiring story. Scroll, scroll. Ideas influence, and that's what you want to do with yourself, with your clients, and with your business. And so I'm hoping that I have made a case for what a catalytic idea is and how to tune into one that matters to you. And I have one final secret to share. It starts with you. It really does. So I'm so aware that we live in the narrative of the hero's journey. It's the dominant narrative. But it's the story of a reaction to a call, and ideas are found in the yearning that I noticed in that room, those rooms when I was giving my speaking tour, right? The thing is, for most of us, when Gandalf comes knocking on the door, we have to ask him to come back after 4 o'clock because we've got to pick the kids up, or we're caring for our parents, or we've got to clock in somewhere. We've got responsibilities. Now, the thing about ideas is they can be launched at a kitchen table. And we, ladies, have invented algorithms, dishwashers, life rafts, one-handed medical syringes, Kevlar, the windshield wiper, all without waiting for the call, but in back rooms, in front of problems, and in conversations. So I'm just here to say, hero's journey is not enough. And here's why. It's because it is the journey of the child. It's the child to man, usually. It's the story of Luke Skywalker, not Obi-Wan. And we need more Obi-Wans in the world. So this is my invitation to you. You've got to step off the endless cycle of the hero and awaken the legend within. Because life is a brief shot at something incredible. And stories remind you how lucky you are to be alive. But ideas help you take that shot. And that is the legend's journey. The future belongs to those with ideas. That's how we're going to beat the robots. Thank you for your time. I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to come back and I'm going to answer any questions or have a little chat with Lucy.
Mel, that was just amazing. Thank you so much. That really was. I hate to be cliched, but it really was very inspiring. So there's lots of incredibly positive comments. And funnily enough, not so many questions. Gia says, I chose to fight for my vision and I chose not to people please. Lots of comments about wonderful, so thought-provoking. So I mean, for me, and I would say this, wouldn't I do think that this is something that should be brought into the concept of writing your book. Your idea and asking questions. If you don't know what your powerful idea is, you're going to find it difficult to write your book. But this is a wonderful prelude to actually getting your book written. And when you write your book, you dig into all those things that you're talking about. You have to spend time, you have to sit with your ideas, and you have to ask questions. So I'm hoping that you are going to be putting this into a book very soon.
Yes, this is the book, Lucy. This is the book. You know, I've talked to you about like other versions or previous iterations of this, and they never felt like quite enough. And I think for me, it was the world knows we need story. So everyone says you need a brand story and you need this and you need that. And people want to sort out their story. They want to make sense of it. So it you know, it's good work and it feels worthy. But I couldn't get past the fact that in Hollywood, we were not concentrating on stories. We were concentrating on ideas. And, you know, in your case, you have this idea, you're going to open up ABOO, and suddenly it exists, and then we're all doing this, and we're exchanging ideas, and we're writing about our ideas. And it's that old thing of, if I have $1 and I give you $1, then you have $1, but I don't. But if I have an idea and I give you an idea, and then you give me an idea, we have 2 ideas each, and you know, this is how we got to the moon. Yeah. So for me, it just becomes ideas are the currency of the future, because they've always been the currency. But what I see is that people are caught in the story. Yeah. People haven't given themselves the time, the permission to contribute. And we are here to contribute something, not consume. And unless we're consuming each other's ideas, that's an experience.
Yes, Michaela said, when you said that, Michaela said, 100% have got to get that idea across to my children about not consuming, but engaging with the future, which yeah, I'm sure several of us would agree with. Well,
and it's, you know, the world is, you know, the system is designed to make us consume, and who doesn't love a new dog bed or whatever, but it not at the expense of actualizing, not at the expense of realizing that indeed we are the solution.
Yeah no, so completely.
Yes, all books should be, all good books should be written around an idea. They should bring a new idea or new fresh perspective to the world. That's how they will influence the readers, and that is how they will have reach and resonance. So essentially, as you say, for all of us here in the ABOO book group here, is you're looking for the idea and then you tell that story. And when you're looking at your bio that's going to go in, tell the story that explains the idea, why you came up with that. If you're going to do that intro piece, which is your, you know, the journey of how you got to be here, that's the story you tell. You don't, then it weeds it out. You don't have to tell that story when you got sad about grandpa's dying, or you had 3 dogs, but then 1 died and you got 5 more. You know, you don't get caught up in the weeds.
No, indeed. Paula has just made the point again that she 100% agrees that the first idea is always somebody else's. Can you kind of I mean, I know you've gone through that, but can you expand on that again? What, I mean, do we get stuck in believing that the great idea is somebody else's, so we can't have our own idea, or our idea is not big enough to kind of go ahead of somebody else's idea?
I absolutely love that question, Paula. And I know that you've been working for a long time on your idea, which we can all see it's recreating the way you think and the way you are. And it's a big idea. Here's the take. If you've created it and in some way, just like it has broken through, it has authenticity. And then it is about capturing other people's, because an idea needs to be put out into the world. An idea needs to then resonate, and it needs to attract, and it needs, in this world, it needs money to get it out there and impacting. So the test is, if it resonates, then it's a good enough idea. But if it's somebody else's idea, we've all done this. We've seen somebody else's brilliant marketing post about their product, and we're like, oh, that's good. And we kind of copy it. We stick it out there, and we're like, oh, that didn't hit as much. And then we sit down and we think about more like, what do we really believe? Because that's what we ask really, is what do we really believe? And we start putting that focus on our work. It becomes clearer and more solid. And then we do need to take it out into the world. And if it resonates and people come on board with it, there is no comparison. There is plenty of room in this world for good ideas. And we know that because there's so many people that are, say, selling storytelling from the stage, or how to use story for sales. And in some ways, if you see your idea out there similarly, then it's proof that it's something people want. The difference is when you sit down, you think, I'm going to have an idea. I think let's take Paula's idea. I think we should have a circular economy. I think we should do better recycling. That's we all know that's not a new idea. But if you then deep dive into how, or what does that mean? What is it in reality? And you come up with a model, and that starts to really help people to shift into a new way of living, then that is the original. And I think original is maybe a big word, maybe authentic. If it's authentically you.
Yeah. Paula also asked, do you think that women are less confident about putting their ideas out there than men? Interesting question.
I mean, I have to broadly say yes. And if I were to come up with a reason, it's because our ideas tend to come from our identities, from our experiences, the things that we have experienced in our life that make us who we are. Because the idea, we can pull one out of the air, but we wouldn't see it if we weren't who we were. And women go through multiple identity breakdowns and recreations. So one, we're often in an identity breakdown and a new creation. So that idea, for example, I had an idea of walking my kids across the country that became an national speaking tour, blah, blah, blah. Then my kids grew up and they ruined my brand, and I had to move on without them. So then it was like, well, I have to have a new idea because that one's done. And also because so many people have walked that walk since, and the world has changed and it's gone out. So I moved on as well. I moved into being the parent of adults, parent of married children, parents of children who've left home. So Paula, yes, women have a difficult idea in confidence, often simply because our ideas come from growing, and we grow more often. So by the time we're putting an idea out into the world, we feel we've changed. And then you're like, am I sure about this idea anymore? And actually, if we look at my quadrant, my matrix, we go from ideas in motion, bumping into ideas in synchronicity. And we're like, oh, this was a good idea. Then we get better, we get more discerning, and we start seeing ideas, the perfect idea that's a solution for this. And those are great ideas. So there are 4 qualities of ideas. And then we can move into synthesis. And synthesis tends to be where we we pull this piece and that piece and that piece together and go, oh, holy crap. Wow. You've then seen something that nobody else could see. So sometimes it's about understanding the quality of the idea. And you don't need to worry about it. Ideas are absolutely infinite. You could have them 20 before breakfast. You can give them away. One idea I gave away to a friend had made her a £15 million company.
Wow.
Not sucking at all. But that's it. You can give it away. It wasn't mine to make, but I could see the idea.
Okay, so Mel, one last question, I think, before I let you go, and a very interesting one leading on from this. Cindy Whitlock says, can you talk more about how you translate or evolve your idea if you've written about it and found it did not resonate with the public?
Right.
Difficult one.
Well, for me, I would go back to my matrix. I would go, okay, we need to take the idea out. Then you took the idea out into the world and you put it in the path of serendipity, and people sort of moved around it. So we want to move then up to that top quadrant and be more vigilant. So that would be about being in conversation. I don't know if I showed it so briefly, but there are the 6 energies that we co-evolve with. And one of them is exchange. Exchange comes between ideas and action. Exchange is conversations. Exchange is trial and error. Exchange is collaboration. So I would myself, and I've been there myself, Cindy, I would move myself back down to like in the mess. I would talk to clients or the people I'm trying to resonate with, and I would ask them empowering questions. I would ask them questions that would give me answers. And that way, I would start becoming very vigilant for how my idea can shift. And it won't be a different idea necessarily. It's usually, in my lived experience, it's a pivot on an idea, because the idea does actually come from within you, hence the awaken the legend within piece. So I would just know that I tried to go straight to that top right quadrant with the big idea, and that I could take it back down through being in the mix, bumping it up against a few things, and then get vigilant, listening to what people say, and reshape it. Lucy will tell you, I've reshaped this one. She's heard me give the previous version of this one. And the mastermind that I'm part of, I presented this at the beginning of the year, and I said, it's just an idea. I'm really asking questions. I'd like to know what people think. And it was incomplete, and it was in exchange, that co-evolution energy of exchange, that I was able to get it to this far. And I fully expect it to get better, because this is the world premiere, red carpet, roll out, please, lots of applause. So you're the first people really to see and hear this idea.
And that's been a huge privilege, Mel. I really think everyone says so. Gia says, such great questions from everyone too. Thank you for asking them and contributing to my learning. And lots of kind of comments and questions here. So Mel, I hope you will come back to the comments when we get off this call later. Paula says, Melanie Gow's advice on my idea development really did enable me to align myself more fully with my authentic self. It's a joy to be becoming true, which is a wonderful commendation for your work and your mentorship. And yes, I think that was a really interesting response to Cindy's question, because it's not about changing ideas, is it? If you've had a big idea and it hasn't engaged, it hasn't sort of clicked the first time, it just needs to evolve more and perhaps find a different way of expressing it, or keep going with it, ask people about it, talk to people about it. As you say, that's absolutely brilliant. So yeah, I mean, I think, you know, give up on it.
No, and it's usually actually happens very rapidly. Just
Yes,
to give you some hope
happens,
there,
yes.
You go out, you start talking to people, you start listening, start tuning in. That's what I would say listening is tuning in. And set your mind, rather than say, you know, why hasn't it? Go, I wonder why my idea or how my idea could get better.
The
So
question.
the brain is now
Yeah.
set in motion to solve that problem, and it will start tuning in, and you'll be doing the washing up one day and you'll be like, holy crap, I've just blown my own mind.
Yeah, yeah, wonderful. And on that note, and having blown all our minds, thank you so much, Melanie Gow. That was a wonderful leadership learning session. And thank you all. Thank you to everybody who is here today and asked such great questions indeed. And Mel, I'm sure you'll come back to the comments for people who watch the recording and catch up with them too.
Oh, great idea. Yes, I will. I'll make notes to do that. And thank you for the questions.
Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, Mel, and see you again soon. Bye.